All right, guys. Today on the Leadership to Wealth podcast, we've got a rock and roll superstar. I'm sure he probably would have been into rock and roll if he hadn't have gotten into public speaking. But, here's a man who started from ditch digging to building businesses to teaching people how to do that. And, really, we get into a lot of different areas and wisdom of how the things that he's learned out of failure. Guys, if you know what it's like to try something and mess up and then not want to move forward, you're going to want to listen to our guest today, author, public speaker, business builder, moneymaker, Jeremy Torisk. All right, guys, welcome to the Leadership to Wealth podcast. And today's guest, I really looking forward to you guys getting to know him. And his name is Jeremy Torisk. Jeremy, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this particular podcast for a long time.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Well, look, Jeremy, just so we can get started, can you give us a little bit of background about you and just a little bit of your story, where you're from and where you're at now?
Sure. I got basically it all starts really 25 miles from where I'm sitting right now. I was born in Hollywood, Florida, which is very rare to be born here in South Florida. And I wrote a book during the COVID, and I started that book off kind of like I was born to two young and very damaged people. So my childhood was crazy. Like, you ever guys watch Shameless on Showtime? Right, that's a 10. My house was like an 8 on the Shameless house. Like we might have been Kevin and Viv next door. We were pretty crazy, and so I grew up very untraditional and with a lot of problems that come along with that kind of childhood. Undiagnosed issues, dyslexia, ADHD. Because of that, anxiety is always high in my system. Rage, a lot of rage, because I had to be I was called like a bully's bully, right? Anybody that I saw picking on anyone, I had to step in and protect them. So big protector gene, but lots of street fights, lots of trouble. I decided at 17 that I didn't want to be at home anymore. It was just not, the chaos was not paying off. So I left home at 17, joined the Marine Corps, early enlisted, but I had to quit school, get a job, and when I went to leave for boot camp, I found out that you couldn't leave with a GED, which is what I did instead of finishing high school. So by then, my parents had divorced and split all over the country, and they moved away. So I was really, really homeless right at 18. And I just started working. I put my head down and worked. That's all I ever did. I started doing my own little jobs, opened up a car wash with some friends, just kind of entrepreneurial spirit. Spirit was always within me. And odd jobs, driving tow trucks, painting apartments with my friend's dad, and met a girl one day, as we all do, met a significant other, if you will. And her dad asked me if I wanted to make double the money I'm making now. I was working in a machine shop, I think. I was 20 years old. And I said, well, yeah, shit, yeah. He said, I didn't even ask what I was going to do. I show up for work Monday, and he sticks a shovel in my hand, and I was digging ditches for this crew in Davie, Florida, hard rock. And that's how I got into the cable TV business. And just long story short, there's a lot more to go, but I spent the last 30 years in the cable television construction industry. Worked for Comcast for many years, and I worked for my own businesses for many years. Lots of ups and downs, some really great stories from the corporate side, some really scary stories from the ownership entrepreneur side. But eventually I got with this crew that have been in business for a long time, and we went, let's say, from cheeseburger to steak, right? For 18 years they were local. We went national for the last 3 years of the time I was there with them, and we actually just sold that company to a very big name. A lot of people might know. I don't know if I could say quite yet because we're still at the tail end of that contract, but this is all I do now full time. Is I don't do cable anymore. I retired, just turned 50, and now I help people start small businesses and just try to succeed on their own from all my failures and conquest and lessons and life. And I try to share that with as many people as possible.
Wow.
Fire hose
Okay.
time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, "Whoa, okay. Well, that's a way to get started."
See you later, everybody.
Thank you guys. Leadership to Wealth. That was a great conversation. We could stop right there. So since you gave me all of that craziness, I guess I should probably start off with which is better, crazy mother or crazy father?
Well, my dad wasn't crazy. My mother was crazy. My dad was pacifist, so he'd just go along with the craziness, which really is what I actually got a lot of that in myself. I hang around crazy people, I act crazy. I hang around successful people, I act successful. So you're the aggregate of your 5 closest friends, and so you never want to be the top of that ladder. You want to be right down towards the bottom 2. And yeah, absolutely.
That's great advice right off the get-go, without a doubt. And it's interesting. Maybe we can flesh this one out a little bit, because I remember when I was younger and I wanted to be around people that were wiser, smarter, more creative, all of that kind of stuff. And I thought, I don't know how to get into those rooms. And now part of it took me years, took me decades to learn how to do that. But can you say something about, hey, how do you surround yourself with people like that?
That's a great question, Neil, because no one's ever asked me it that way. And I have a very easy answer that just bubbled up to the top. Number one, the reason you think that is self-confidence, self-doubt. All right, that's number one, which is healthy and nice. You don't want to be too ego. Ego's the enemy, as they say. But at the same time, how I found to get around successful people is adding value. How can you be of value to somebody you want to be around? So first of all, you tell them that you want to learn from them. Believe it or not, that's adding value. You're giving somebody their place in the world. You're telling them that you like to have them as a mentor. Just tell them, I want to do what you're doing. It's very flattering and it's very humbling. So that's the number one way to do it. The second way to do it, to add value, is to be a service to them. Okay. And this is something that I live by every day. I'm of service to somebody in my life every day.
So number one, tell them that you want to learn from them. And then number two, can you say that again? Number two?
Number two is to be some sort of service to them. Add value by being of service. Okay. Now, you're going to say, well, how could I be of service to somebody when I don't know what I'm doing yet? There's other ways you could be of service. You could tell them, I'd like to do some stuff for free for you. Like if you, let's say, for instance, if you're trying to become a real estate agent, you go to a broker, and a real successful broker, you'd say, how about I dial numbers for you, try to do lead gen, and show me your best lead gen guy and let me learn from him. I'll make coffee, I'll work in the office, let me find out how you do your listings on MLS. Just something to be in that area. That's of service. You're learning, you're not costing them money, and then you're getting a base in return, but you're around and you're in their orbit that way. You got to be able to start from the bottom. I still sweep the floors and clean the toilet sometimes, and I got offices all over the country. But nothing is beneath me. Yeah,
love it. Is there a number three?
Well, those are the first two things. Number three would probably be consistency, and follow up with what you're going to say and be consistent about it, and just follow their example and their lead, and try to do the same thing in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That is amazing. And guys, if you're watching, and if you don't see anything else, that right there is gold. Get yourself around, 5 people that are at a higher level than you are, and let them know. Let them know. Number one, let them know that you want to learn from them, and number two, be of service. Jeremy, thank you for being on the show today. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and honestly, I can say that I wish that I had that advice when I was a younger man. It would have saved so many years of just trying to learn how do you do that, right? I got to be cocky, and I've got to let them know that I want to make $1 million. $1 million. I'm going to be the next guy. If someone would just show me how, right? Like.
Oh yeah, or even worse, why am I not good enough? And you start doubting yourself, and I'm not worth it. I'll never be able to do it. That's even worse. That's where I was when I was growing up, and I'm sure that you were too. At some point, you always think I could never do that. It's
Yes.
amazing what you could do. And
Yes.
nowadays, man, imagine where we'd be, Neil, if we had YouTube back then when we were 13, 14 years old. If we saw the people younger than us or our age being successful, and we go, oh my gosh, that's all you do. I mean, I was a drummer for many years professionally. Even I played in Nashville with a few people. And so I just always played the record over and over again and learned. And I imagine how he did that drum roll, and I practice and practice and practice. And now my kids, I have a drum set in my living room, believe it or not, to my wife's dismay, but my kids all get on there and jam, especially my son, Peter. And he's got these videos where he's watching his favorite bands playing, and there's cover people doing the tune, and they're showing cross stick action. Peter's 10 times the drummer I was. I've been playing drums since I was 4 and I'm 50. Peter has been playing for about 5 or 6 years, and he's twice the drummer I am because he can see and copy. And that's all you got to do. You know what R&D is in business? People think it's, what is R&D? That's research and development. No. It's rip off and duplicate. See somebody doing something, rip it off and duplicate it. Make it your own style, give them credit, but rip off and duplicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
And literally, we're happy if you do it too. Like, by all means, great. Yeah. I'm glad that I was able to pass that on to somebody, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to drop about 10 more of those in this thing, and they all come from one guy. His name is Steve Nudelberg. He's my business coach. He's a mentor of mine. Steve Nudelberg changed my life. He's the reason I wrote my book. His example, and his son Mark Nudelberg are my holy grails of where I want to be. And I'm actually in one of the businesses I own with my son. And so you're going to hear a lot of jewels. And if you just go to noodleberg.com, you're going to go, that's where Jerry got it from. That's where Jerry got it from. He's a thief. No, I'm not. I'm successful because I follow my mentors, moves. And Steve will tell you all day, 24 hours, you got to give him my name. After that, it's yours. But I still give him the credit because he's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. That is really so brilliant. One of the things I think a lot of people have difficulty with is in today's age. For you and I, we go, man, if we had this when we were younger, there's so much information and knowledge and wisdom that we would be able to gather. But for a lot of people now, I think the difficulty is they don't know how to sift through all of the information because there's so much there. And that's oftentimes true. The people that give you the most valuable information aren't necessarily the best sales oriented or something like that. They're not the top of the Google list or whatever in that. So
to your point, what made me strong is all my failures. Really, at the end of the day, my resilientness, my toughness, my grit comes from my background, my history. No matter how big of a failure that I experience, it's not going to be as low as where I was at other points of my life. It's like, if I fall down the mountain, I'm still going to be higher on the mountain than I used to be. So I get up, brush it off, and just start climbing again. And so to your point, when I hear good stuff on YouTube now, I go, ooh, it resonates because I know how much bad stuff's out there. So to your point, I get what you're saying there. Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and start listening to everybody, you're not going to know without any experience, really, if somebody's bamboozling you, or because there's probably a lot of charlatans out there really giving you some wacky advice. And never pay anybody for anything for a long, long time until you know them personally for a long time. Like I said, high school dropout, GED, very little college. I took college courses when I worked at Comcast to get into management, but very little bit. But I have a knowledge education, and I probably dropped over $200,000 to mentors and leadership programs and real estate investment programs and mentors and private coaching and all this easy over probably 250 easy. But it's paid off 10 times because I knew it was like going into these surgically paying the money and knowing what I was going to get. And people think also, I want to pay a guy money and I'm going to know everything. It doesn't work like that. You got to pay a guy money and you just got to look for the nuggets. Look every time you talk to him, every time in there, get that nugget and work the nugget. The next time you meet with them, you're not going to come out with 18 things. You're going to come out with 2 things and work those 2 things. And that's worth if you paid 50, 100 or 1,000 or 50,000. It's the same process. Don't get messed up on how much you pay. It's up to you to dig for those nuggets, ask those questions, be present.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So here's something funny. I mean, whether you're spiritual or not, there's in the Bible, there's a quote where Jesus says, you know, if you hold to my teachings, then you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And a lot of people jump to the part of, you know, oh, the truth will set you free. But it's interesting that he says, if you hold to the teachings, right? You actually have to apply the stuff, make the mistakes, go through that, and then on the other side of that is that truth that is able to set you free. And everything in what you just said screams of that. You know, it's not the hey, you get all this knowledge. It's really in the doing of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And having that faith, that whether it is spiritual faith or faith in yourself, you know, Stoicism is something I studied a lot of lately. Marcus Aurelius's writings and the meditations. Yeah. And if you read any of that stuff, you're going to understand that things happen for a reason, and you got to accept it and move on and not hold those grudges. In fact, you learn to appreciate these things when they happen, and you go, wow, you got to go. Something big is coming. You know, it's a total mindset on bad stuff happening. You know, listen to the right people. Jocko Willink, you know, good. Something bad happens, good. Because I'm telling you, everything is written. Everything's written already. And if you just do the right thing, consistency is the key to success. Take those bad stuff, read obstacles the way. You know, you'll find out that the bad stuff that happens in life are there for a reason, to make you tougher, to put you in the right place, to talk to the right person. You might meet somebody in line at DMV because you got a ticket that might change your whole business life. You know, I mean, our lives are mapped out. They really are. And it's kind of crazy. You can't discount some of the things that happen in my life by chance from bad stuff. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with COVID happening, you know, I think I said to somebody there, you can have two very different mindsets. You can either COVID is happening to you or it's happening for you. And I think there's something in life there. Either life happens to you or for you. And if you realize that, or you even just take the mindset that it's happening for you, then that guy at the DMV that you're standing there with could open up another opportunity.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly the point. The mindset is got to be positive. And personally, I have a little bit of depression in my family. I work from, I wake up at 3:30 every morning. I go to bed around midnight. So 3.5 hours of sleep on average, and usually not in a row, which is not healthy, I know. But when I do turn my batteries off, I'm down for like 3 days. I sit on my chair. I'll put on Law and Order season 1. I'll watch all the way to season 20, right? Back to back to my wife and my kids. They walk by me like they dust me off once in a while, turn me over. And I lean into that darkness. I lean into my tired, my exhaustion. I lean in to turn my phone off. I don't need anything. And then I know after day 2 or 3, when I get up, I take a shower, I eat some healthy food and all of a sudden I'm back 2-3 months, 3:30 in the morning, up, meditating, you know, stretching, checking my email, doing my social media. Then I'm making coffee for my wife. Then I'm at the office here at 6 o'clock, starting to shoot, starting to record, starting to email people, asking them to do, always moving like a shark. I work from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day, 7 days a week. So those 3 days when I want to feel bad, I lean into it because I know it's not long. So you feel bad, something bad happens to you, lean into it, feel it, and then let it go.
Wow. You know what I'm hearing is that you don't apply, you know, a level of judgment that a lot of people put on themselves, like how terrible they are, how not good enough, and you're just kind of leaning into it and going, "This is good. This is part of the process," and you know that you're going to come back. Yeah.
I cut, I bleed. Everybody has it.
Yeah.
Everyone's got it. Everyone needs to, you know, admit everyone's got demons. Everyone's got proclivities, you know. Nobody's perfect. You'd be boring if you were. So you make a mistake, really just accept it, examine it, move on. Now, you don't want to repeat the same mistakes. If I did that every other weekend, I'd be useless. But I'd do it every 2 or 3, 4 months, you know. Yeah. So, you know, and really, I'm not out running around the bars on my family for 3 days. I'm on my couch watching Law and Order. Come on, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm out damaging my reputation and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys, this is leadership to wealth. Don't lean into, destructive
carousing.
behavior.
You're right. But
Yeah.
yeah, when something bad happens to it, you gotta feel it, acknowledge it, give it a spot, and then know it's
Yeah.
happening for a reason. Move on.
Yeah. So when the time comes, be okay with taking some downtime. Be okay with going through,
Yeah,
a slow period, if that's what you want to call it, or whatever.
it's a chance to do something else, right? It's a chance to
Yeah.
learn OBS. It's a chance to start, writing a new script, doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. You some of the stuff you were just talking about there, it just made me think about, if when I die, what do I've thought many times, what would I want written? And I thought, you know what? I'd probably want written something like, he fell down, but he got back up again. And
Yeah,
because I'm pretty cool with being the guy that falls down, gets knocked down, whatever, but gets back up again. I think in the movie The Untouchables, they're, how do you know who won an all-out prize fight? Two men in a ring, one man's left standing, and that's how you know who won.
yeah.
What would get written? What would you want written on yours?
Well, to your point, Les Brown comes from right down the street. He was born in Miami, Florida, with a twin brother, and he was told he was retarded, and his brother wasn't. And he used to sell television sets door to door in Miami. It was hilarious. And he's a huge motivational speaker. Yeah. One of his quotes is, "If as long as you get knocked down, if you can look up, you can get up. So get up." Right. So for me, it would be acted at the speed of instruction. That's one of my sayings. If someone tells me to do something, I do it immediately. If I'm talking to you and I'm on the phone with you and you say, "Hey, do me favors, send me that link," at some point, I go, "Okay, hold on, send the link," because if I hang up the phone, I'm not going to do it. So act at the speed of instruction. If you have to do something, do the hard things first. Eat the elephant. Somebody wrote a book called Brian Tracy, I think is his name. So it's doing the hard things first, getting them out of the way, enjoying what you're doing. But really, years ago when I paid for my college, my kids' college prepaid. I got 4 kids, and we paid for their college as they were born. That would have been on my tombstone. Paid for my kids. My kids are going further than I went. But luckily, they're now 18, 20, 23, and 28. And now they would do a lot more in life to get ahead of Pop than go to college, right? Pop's on a roll here. So now it's just, I've done so much more of my life since even I was in my 20s that I never thought I would do, because of this confidence and this ego and the success, and the failures, and checking that ego. So I'd say, again, it's acting at the speed of instructions. If you want to do something, someone actually tells you how to do it, get off your butt and do it.
Wow. Well, you just named 2 of my favorite speakers. I got a chance to see Les Brown when I was 19, probably about 19, and he's still going at it. He still speaks from time to time. Brian Tracy, great guys. Changed my life with some of the stuff that he taught. And so I've awesome stuff there, but.
Eat the frog. I'm sorry. Did I say eat the elephant?
Eat the frog. Yeah. I think there might be both. I think there might be both books. Yeah.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
One bite at a time. That's right.
Eat the frog is doing the hard things first.
Yeah. Well,
sorry,
since we just since we just mentioned it, why don't we let me just ask you? You have your own book, Labor to Leadership. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, during COVID, I have traveled the last 10 years, 45 weeks on average, 45 weeks out of the year. I travel. I had offices all over the country, east side of the country, every week in a different city, gone Monday morning, back Thursday night. And so I'd only have to be home Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Kids are usually out doing their thing. Me and my wife were honeymoon every week because I never saw her all week. It's a great life. But then I was home with my family in a house, stuck for 2 months, and they had a family meeting, and they said, "Dad, we don't work for you. Stop telling us what to do." So I'm like, well, because I'm used to being all over the country and working with very high level performers, project managers, owners of very large companies. And now I just found myself barking at the kids and my wife every day, because that's what I do, in a sense. And so they had a family meeting, and I had to go, wow, I was really making people upset. So I have all these stories on my head, my memoirs, if you will, because my life was really crazy. And I tell you, it's nothing. The stories are crazy, not even fit for podcast right now these days. So I wanted to write them down. I was turning 50. This was last year, right? So I was going to be turning 50 in May. I started writing them down so I would get out of my family's hair, really, and just go occupy myself. I told you I'm a hard charger. So when I sat down in front of my computer for the next 3 months, I did nothing but write. And I don't even like to read hardly, let alone write. But I wrote, hundreds of pages about my story. And as I read them, I started seeing a pattern, like succeed, then fail, then fail, then succeed, then fail, succeed. But when I started noticing that of the people I started being around, different places in life, my successes started going higher, my failures started getting less. Sometimes they would be greater failures, but because the chances were higher, the risks were higher. And I saw a story laid out in front of me of a kid from nowhere who accomplished some pretty cool things. I gave it to some people that I know, and they said it was very good, which surprised me. So I took the first part of the half is about my life. And then the second half of the book they're called business elements. They teach people, if you're going to start a business, you better know all the elements to a business or you're going to fail, because every element of a business is as important as every other element. And if you overlook something, like I'm great at sales, but if you don't know how to market, you're never going to sell anything. Marketing and sales are not the same thing, right? I'm really good at working on something, but I don't know how to get customers, or I don't know how to pay bills, or I don't know about taxes. I don't know about HR. I don't know about hiring. Every one of those things will eat your lunch. So in the back of the book, the second half just tells you little stories about each of the elements of business that ate my lunch over the course of time. And there's examples at the bottom of places and people and books and videos who taught me how to get right. And so now I'm good. I don't lose, baby. I win. Everything I touch turns to gold. Everything I touch turns to sold. Like I do the little things in business because I asked, I learned, and I repeat. So
right.
This is what I want the book for. I want to help people succeed.
Wow. And all of that is in that book, Labor to Leadership.
Absolutely. First half is my personal story. You can flip right back to the middle if you just want to learn about the business part and not be see all the mom and drama stuff. But I got some interesting stories. It's pretty much rated PG-13. But I call that book the tip of the iceberg, because there's a lot more crap underneath the surface that I can write another volume or two about. But really, it's in labor leadership, my journey for pit digger to CEO. But there's a catchphrase in the front that says, if I could do it, anyone can. Because really, anyone could do what I did. Just follow the steps.
Yeah. That is really interesting. When you come upon a point in your life when you realize that it's not your brilliance that
it's your sweat equity.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not really the smartest, the smartest or sharpest tool in the shed or whatever analogy you want to use. I was just smart enough to imitate other people.
And put the time in. I was always the first one on the job. I was always the last one to leave. Locking the gates at night and unlocking the gates in the morning at the cable companies, always, every day.
Yeah. That's amazing. I always invite people into my thought process or my mindset, which is, I don't know if you might know from Marvel Comics, the Juggernaut. Juggernaut's got this hard head and he can run through walls, right? He's the unstoppable force, right? And I said, you don't have to be the smartest. Just be prepared to run through some walls. And
I learned over time, if you're good to people and you share everything in your life for people and you look to help people will go through walls for you.
Wow, that's
people
true.
Will open doors for you just like that, just by asking them.
Wow. Now, I've heard you say that previously you talk about part of the success ladder or climbing the success mountain you get better and better with more successes, less failures. And then you talk about how as you get further up, now the air starts to get thinner. And could you talk a little bit about how you see that? Because I'm sure there's a metamorphosis that happens as you're going up. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like?
Well, maybe I can, and maybe I can't, because I still see myself as a fighter, because when I was a kid, I had no self-esteem. I was jealous of the kids who had low self-esteem. They always talk bad about themselves. And I go, oh, you're lucky you got low self-esteem, right? No, I'm just kidding. But I never really saw myself as being part of that top, I never saw myself as done. That maybe is a way to say it, because maybe it's my ADHD, whatever you want to call it. My thirst, my drive is really what it is at the end of the day. I've always got 2 or 3 or 4 things going. So maybe I'm at the top at the cable company where I just sold that company, and no one could get higher than, or I guess you could get higher. You could do more things, of course, with it. But from where I came from, digging ditches, to selling a company for multi-millions of dollars and being part of the ownership of that team, you could check that off the box, but I never even felt fulfilled. Like there's always more I could learn. There's always more I could do. Every time I talk to a person where I mentor kids from junior achievement, or somebody hires me for a coaching session, if I don't listen, ask the right questions, and learn from that conversation, I've failed. So I never think that I'm in the rarefied air, because I've never got the sense that I'm done learning. Every single day, something comes up that disappoints the heck out of me in any business that I do. Every day I'm disappointed in something, because my level is way up here of expectations. But, I learn from, why did that happen? Why was I disappointed? Did I not explain it? Did I not communicate enough? Do I not have the right process? Is the process too hard? So I can't answer really your question, because I never consider myself done, even near done. I still feel like I'm 20. Right. I'm 50. I just started my son has a business. We're second year now. We got 5 employees, 2 trucks, 300 customers, 250 customers, $300,000 revenue. This thing is a baby step, number 2 on the Tony Robbins scale. It's going to be big, but he does all the work. I'm just here. I help him once a week. We meet, but again, my head is there. I'm looking at things. I'm thinking about things. I've got, my wife's real estate and brokerage business. I do coaching, video coaching to train people go from part-time to full-time realtors. So I'm always thinking about that. I've got another venture that I'm investing in where I'm going to be helping create something new technology. So I'm always at the beginning point of my career, or at the middle point, or at the top, but to get it better, or to invite more people, if I'm at the top, I better be making it bigger. And if it's got to be bigger, that's challenging. How can I do that? How can I make it easier? So I'm always rethinking how to. So I'm never going to know, hopefully, what you're even talking about. To tell you the truth.
Okay, there's a bunch of stuff there. And what would I like to ask about that? That's amazing. Just to hear what you've gone through. There's a couple of things. First of all, one of the things that I just heard there was, you've gone from doing a lot of physical work to a lot more of your work now is mental.
Yeah. And emotional, right? Intellectual, emotional, sharing. Got to be the cheerleader. I'm an energy provider. I'm a conduit of energy.
Yeah. What is there anything that you would say that you can see? You've gone through so many life lessons, and here you are with the wisdom that you have. Are there things that you can see and maybe share where you're like, okay, if there's something that can take me off my game, this kind of stuff can take me off my game? At the level you are now, are there things that can take you off of your game?
Yeah, sure. And that's so. Remember, I told you I have daily rituals, and one of those is kind of in the morning is looking at what I'm going to do. So I live on my calendar. My calendar is in 15-minute increments, and so there's 48 increments within 8 hours. But I work a lot more hours, 15 hours, so I have a lot more bandwidth. And then at nighttime, before I go to bed, I think about what am I going to do tomorrow, right? What am I going to do tomorrow? So really, you got a balance between the creative Jeremy, who likes to make the cool room and get lights and run lights and help my son, with the logo on his truck, or help Christy come up with a slogan, right? Torisk team. I forget what her slogan is. I should know, but anyway, whatever it is, it's awesome. But I love creative stuff. But at the end of the day, that doesn't pay the bills. So I got to look at my calendar and go, okay, what am I doing here that's paying bills, right? Am I signing a client? Am I selling a product? Am I recruiting a person? Am I making a speech? Am I signing a contract? Am I connecting with enough people today that will open doors for me tomorrow to do these things? Or am I just going down a rabbit hole, learning OBS, for example? I just had surgery on my leg 10 days ago. I can't move. So I'm on a couch for 6 days. My wife won't let me get up and go to work until Monday. So I'm on a couch, and I got a Stream Deck. I ordered it from Amazon, and I downloaded OBS, and I learned how to program a Stream Deck with OBS, because I have a 3-camera shoot. There's camera 1, right? Camera 2, bang, booyah. I'm a little off center because it's Stream Deck here, but it's really cool to get these new toys, and where I could do nothing outwardly. I could sit on the couch and not feel guilty about spending 5 days watching YouTube videos, learn how to do Stream Deck, learn how to do OBS, learn how to do the virtual backgrounds with the green screen, right? That's why I bought the green screen, because now I got these cool videos I can put behind me, microphones twisting and 3D emblems of headphones. And that's the creative stuff. Doesn't pay a dime, but I picked my moment. All right. Yeah. I knew I was going to have surgery. Let's wait. Let's do that when I have surgery and I'm on a couch. And that's what I did last week. I really, just dove into OBS.
Okay, so guys, right now we're gonna cut to a quick clip of Jeremy trying to deal with his green screen. This is the blooper reel.
Hopping around like I'm gonna get you, sucker. Remember when that girl, don't make me hop after you? One of the best movies in history, if you haven't seen it.
And now we're back. Okay, so now that you get to see that, okay, so I've got to share this with you. This is absolutely amazing to me, and you know how life happens. It's not going to be surprising to you. I believe I was talking to my producer at the beginning of this week about OBS. I didn't know anything about it. Just kind of came up, and I said, "Hey, what do you know about OBS? We got to talk about this." And I started just doing a little bit of research. So I'm really amazed that just came out of your mouth. And that's why when you started showing me earlier, hey, you've got this multi-camera setup, I was like, oh my goodness, that is crazy, because it is really interesting what we can do and what you can learn when you put your mind to it, when you realize, okay, hey, and for you realize timing, right? Your ankle is in the shape, right?
Yeah.
And you said, all right, okay, I got time. Let me go invest some time into this. And you went down that thread.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's what I enjoy doing. So, but you got to do stuff that pays the bills. You got moderation, looking at your schedule, time management 101. It's create those blocks, make sure that, and what I do is I color code it, right? So for me, purple is the relationship. So your appointment today takes up 90 minutes worth of 15-minute blocks, and they're purple. The yellow in my things are like my doctor's appointments, or I got to help Christy do this, or I got to put my truck in the shop. Those are yellows, like downtime. It's not productive. It's personal. But then green is anything that I know is directly contributed or linked to my income. Anything. I mean, it might be just having virtual coffee with somebody, which is more of a purple thing. But if it's somebody new, and that's how you connect. So one of the biggest things I have, and it's from Guinness Newellberg, so write this down. The difference between contact and contract is the letter R, but that R stands for relationships. Building your relationships, building your personal brand, posting your story every day on social media, every day, every single day is how you create relationships and how people get to know, like, and trust you. So virtual coffees is how I do that. Build my circle of relationships, real relationships, not transactional. And those are in green, because that's how I make money, by building relationships.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So, if I got to go doing RPS, right? Ready for for bids. I got to put in for speaking at associations all over the country. That's time consuming. Those are all green stuff though, because that's directly related to contracts that someone's going to pay me some money to go fly out to San Francisco and talk to 500 realtors, for example. That's a green block.
You got me knocked back. I got to be honest. Like, okay, first of all, we're going to have Jeremy back on the show at another point, because I know we're barely even scratching the surface here. But guys, if you're watching this, you're going to have to go back and re-listen to what Jeremy has, like, he's sharing with us right now, years and years and years of knowledge, experience, and wisdom. And if you want to cut down, he's literally giving you the Cole's notes for free. He's giving you the secret sauce for free. Please go back and re-listen to this. He's literally doing that. And I say that, Jeremy, because a lot of the stuff you're saying, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is all stuff that I've had to learn through failure. Trial, error.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Just 12 years ago, I was almost homeless again. I'd lost my business, 12 years, lost my construction business, lost my house. I was waiting for the bank to repossession. I had another surgery on my knee because I did something no 40-year-old should ever do. And that was playing flag football with their 12-year-olds. I shattered my knee playing football with them. I was on a couch, couldn't even get up from my bed. Broken up with my fiance, no job, 10th degree education, no high school diploma, losing his house, 2 boys. At that time, I had 2 sons. Child support was racking up. I was making a lot of money before that. So my child support was like $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
12 years ago. And here I am. Sold a company for $30 million. I'm a small part of that. I was a small part of that, but it's still, I sold a company and I live a get-to life. Everything ever for the rest of my life, as long as I'm smart about it, is I get to do it. I never have to do anything in my life. But 12 years ago, I was at the bottom of the bottom. But because I had been lower in my life, I kept smiling. I took a job for $45,000 a year at a phone center, picking up calls and dialing people and see if they wanted to start a small business called Business in a Box, selling cable TV and alarm services. I got promoted after one day to the supervisor because, I don't know, they saw something in me. Within 3 months, I was manager. Within 6 months, I was a director. And met my wife. They brought her in to cut hair for the executives. They go, "Hey, Jeremy, the hot barber's here." And I'm like, "Yeah, what's his name?" Just thought they were messing with me. No. She's pretty hot. I'm like, "All right, how much is it?" "It's free, but I'll give her 20. Literally, it was a Tuesday. I had $20 for lunch for the rest of the week. I'm like, I don't have to eat. I went and got my hair cut by Christy, and we fell in love. And that, just right there, bam, first sight. And took a couple of years to really get it together because of our situation in life. But if I had been the kind of person that's like, "Oh, woe is me, I've had so much, I lost it, I'm working at a stupid phone center," and it was a stupid phone center, she would have never liked me. She would have never been attracted to that. Right. I walked in, bouncy, bubbly, smiling like always, because no one knows me. No, you don't need to know it. You ask me how I'm doing. Write this down in capital letters, GREAT. That's how I am. I'm great every day. Yeah. Doesn't matter. I had 2 suicides in my family, very close to my brothers, publicly, tragically, suicides. You can't get me down. There's nothing today that could happen short of my kids getting hurt fatally that could ever say that today is not great. Yeah. Nothing. Take everything from me. I'm great because I'll be right back here within 10 years. Probably bigger because I just did it this time, 50 times bigger than I was 12 years ago. So never lose your mindset. Keep that mindset. Keep that drive. Find out your whys. That is your drive. Motivation is short-term. Drive, that gets you out of bed. Pop it. Wow. Sorry, you got to jump in because I'll keep going. I'll just keep.
No, I'm loving it. I'm like, shut up. Just listen. Listen, man. It's brilliant. And if people can really grasp the value of what you're sharing here, and I'm one of the things that I was just hearing there is that as you're talking about that drive and about motivation, and I was thinking, oh, that's so funny. I literally tell people, and it's kind of odd for most people when I share this, I said, I don't really believe in motivation. I don't really
No.
believe in motivation or confidence, for that matter. To me, it's kind of a thing that we have to tell ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so, because if you know the why, right, you know what you're committed to, you know that aspect,
Yeah.
you get all the motivation that you will ever need, right?
Yeah.
You get all the energy that you'll ever need. Now, and it's funny because one of the things that I see, and maybe you can speak to this, is that when people tell me that they're tired, I usually say there's something inauthentic about what you're doing. There's something that's stealing your energy, because if you are really doing what you're committed to, what you love, you're playing.
Fun.
There's no endless amount of energy,
Yeah.
right? While
Right.
everybody's working, I'm playing, and I'm going to outwork you every single day.
That's right. Every day, every turn. If I'm doing something, I always go into a room that we have to share. You're with 3 strangers or 4 strangers, breakout room. Everyone does Zoom, right? They go to breakout rooms. And I'm like, I'm Mr. Meek in the corner. Just be quiet. Keep your mouth shut. But 2-3 second counts go by. No one's talking. Okay, guys, here's what's going to do here. Okay, what we're going to do is, the question was this. So, Marcy, what do you think the answer is? What is your answer to number 1? Okay, Doris, what do you think? I can't stand it. Come on, pick up, go. I'll let you go. But if you don't pick it up, I'm on it, baby. I'm on it. I'm in charge. I can love chaos. I control chaos. I slow down time. I'm like the Matrix in chaos because of my childhood. So I try to be passive. I try to let people do their thing. But if they can't, I'm the shepherd. Follow me. I'll get you home.
Wow.
I just love it. That's that energy. You can't fake it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so interesting, man. You got me knocked back again. I just really find, like, if there's oftentimes I find if there's someone that wants to lead, I'm like, great, let's do it. I got your back. I got your back. Let's go. And I completely hear you when you say, if there isn't a leader there, well, somebody's got to lead.
Got to fill that void.
Right. You got to fill that void. We're actually having the elections here in Canada right now. And one of the biggest issues I have in the political world, without getting into all of that stuff, is oftentimes the lack of leadership. Someone that's just going to make it for all the, I don't care if you like Donald Trump or you don't like Donald Trump or whatever this kind of stuff. The guy put himself on the line for things and said, look, throw whatever you want at me. And I'd rather have a leader that said, I'm going to do this, and okay, it sucks. Let's go on, rather than someone that meanders and then puts it on you, like, oh, this is on you. That's your fault.
Yeah, using the system as an excuse, so using the past results as an excuse for today's results. It's an ownership, it's an accountability. Donald Trump, for his faults, was a man of action. No matter if you like him or hate him, you can't say he didn't act. And it was a shame that our country is so divided these days that there is a if you're that, then I'm this mentality, and that should be erased and eradicated in every walk of life, but especially politics. But there is no other person on the planet that I've ever going to meet, I will never meet, that I am 100% in lockstep with every single view of their life. Not that case ever. But I bet you almost everybody I meet in my life, almost everybody, I should have at least 50% in common with that person of their views. If you look at all their views, at least 50%, at least I can have an open mind to say, you know what, I see why you think that way. Probably closer to 75%. The other 25%, you just don't talk about. Come on, let's be adults. Let's talk about the stuff we agree on. Let's leave the stuff we don't to the side, because now's not the time, unless you're in a political debate class or something. But that's the way it is in every part of life. If I'm in a party with someone just talking about how they hate the music, bring something else up. Change the subject. Get your mind engaged in something else. Try to get off the negativity. And then if I do that and they can't, then I walk away. Because again, it's the 5 people that you're around. Even at that microcosm at the party, at that minute in your life, you're the aggregate of the 5 people you're around. So at that party, if I'm around that person, I don't want that infectedness to come on me, because I'll be going with my wife talking about how bad the music is in the car. And I go, oh, crap. That's where it came from. It's an infection. So it'll just stick with you. So you just You try to change their mind by changing the subject. So you're not changing their mind, you're changing their mindset. But if you can't, if they don't come along with you, then you got, you know, I got 1 foot now, but normally 2 feet. You go move yourself away from that stink. You know, Zig Ziglar called it stinking thinking, and get someone around positive. You know, change the song. You know, change the song. I'm a musician, so I'm always changing the song in my head in my life.
Wow, guys, if you're, if you're hearing what Jeremy's talking, he's talking grown-up things here. There's so many people that, Jeremy, I'm telling you, what you're talking about here is there are so many people that think you have to be 100% on the same page with someone to have them as a relationship, as a friend, as a spouse,
it's a shame.
as a, and I really have an issue with it in the world of personal relationship with your partner, because people somehow, there's this image that's going out there that somehow you have to be 100% with them. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
My wife, we're not the same.
you got 2 people, different sex, different ages, sometimes, or whatever, different life background. Like, that's ludicrous.
It is. And it would be boring, right? If you say, how about that? Yeah, I agree. How about that? I agree. How about that? I'd be boring as heck. What kind of life would that be? You know?
Oh my goodness.
It's like vanilla ice cream every day.
Okay, either nobody's going to watch this, want to watch this episode, or everyone's going to want to watch it, because it's not sexy to talk like that. Let's be honest. Oh no, but I don't feel that way. Like, what? Do you have to feel a certain way to go to the washroom? Know, life is life. Sometimes you're not always going to feel a certain way. And that's where I think what you're talking about, mindset, is so key. Now, I got to ask this question, because in my experience, I've come across many people who they're just moving in this direction, and you can talk till you're blue in the face, you can share till you're blue in the face, but you're going to waste your energy because they don't want to move in a different direction. Meanwhile, you can talk to someone else who is salivating just to get that direction, and they'll move on a dime, and they'll go off and start making things happen.
Yeah. And acting at the speed of instruction, right? That's what my saying, and anybody who wants to work with me, first of all, I give a lot of people, like you were saying, it's all for free. I give everything I know, I give for free. When somebody pays me to coach them, it's for my time, or it's for spending a lot of time with them. But if they just go on, if they want to do enough of their own research, everything that I say, my own podcast stuff, my own YouTube stuff, my book, I'm actually a contributing author to another book that's coming out in October. There's enough stuff out there. You can get anything I say for free. If you want to pay me, it's for my time. So if you're paying me for my time and I'm telling you what I do, I don't tell you what to do. I just tell you what I did or what I do. This is what I did. This is what I do. And then the next week we have a scheduled, hour to come back and we want to review how did it go for you. Well, I didn't do it. Okay, well then I'm going to refund you your money. We're going to split ways, because you're not going to succeed. And I don't want to have my name attached to that. You got to do the actions. Now, if you come back and you say I did it and it didn't work, that's different. No, of course, everything I did is not going to work for you, but let's examine what didn't work. Maybe you got to tweak it. Maybe you misheard me. Maybe you went too aggressive. That's awesome. I'll spend as much time as we have to figure out why it didn't work. But when you just say I didn't do it, I was too tired, something came up, bull S. I don't know what the profanity level on your station is, but bull S. No such thing in my book. I'm a 5 to 9er, 7 days a week. TGIF, boom. TGIS, the grind includes Saturday and Sunday. There is always time. Make time. You can make time. You know how you make time? Get rid of the BS in your life. You didn't have time. Something came up. A friend called. He needed help with a flat tire. Now that's not his problem. Your problem now. If he's not one of your 5, sorry, buddy. Guess what I'll do? I'll pay for AAA to come out there, but I can't do it. I'm doing this. Yeah. Right, because something will always come up to distract you. That's called the devil, whatever you want to call it, the mischief in life. Make time. So, to those people that you're talking about, I will try to help, but you don't even get 3 strikes with me if I hear that too many times. Too tired, too busy, to anything other than trying what I tell you to do or show you what I've done, if you don't do the actions, you're never going to make any success in anywhere in your life. And maybe you're just not ready right now. Come back to me in a year. You know, we change.
There's something there, and I think you put it even into words there. But as you get older, there's something to realizing the value of your time. That because I can recognize the hours and days that I've wasted. Hey, did I pour it into someone? Absolutely. And was that a nice thing to do? Absolutely. Did I care about them? Absolutely.
But did it get you closer to your goals?
Yeah. Did I get them any closer to their goals?
No. All right.
No.
All
right. So
right.
as you move further along, you get faster and faster recognizing the people that want to move and are going to move, and the ones that you know they just want to. They want someone to listen to them whine and complain, and
they want a therapist instead of a leadership coach or a business coach.
Yeah, And actually, I just gave a friend of mine this advice because he was talking about, people like that just want to talk. They don't necessarily want to do something. And I said, if you're doing that, by all means, just understand that falls into the category of charity. You're giving them your time. You're being generous, and you never know what a listening ear can do for someone. When they're ready, they may, but you have to put boundaries in place, right?
Yeah.
And I think you even talked about your color coding system to know what you're actually trying to achieve.
That's right. Yeah.
Are you trying to change them? How about you work on changing yourself first?
That's true. Exactly right. Yeah. So for those kind of people too, I always encourage them to do a group session with me. I have certain weeks that you get 4 or 5 really young entrepreneurs who can't afford a private coach. So you go, okay, well, listen, every Thursday at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I have a class with 5 guys. So it's only a fifth of the cost, and then out of 5 guys, Pareto's principles, right? 80-20. One of the 5 guys are going to be a rock star. The other 4 guys are just going to kind of play along. And then out of those 4, 80-20, one's going to be just not doing anything and one's going to do something. But at least you're not taking someone's money, who's not listening. You're in a group settlement. And sometimes they can help each other because they got more in common. I try to place my groups with some sort of likeness in there, some sort of commonality so they can help each other. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But those types of settings are better for some certain mentalities of people's lives too.
Right. And absolutely.
There's certain people I spend a lot of time for free with them, but again, it drags me down. It drags my energy down. It gets me aggravated, and I go, I can't. It's not healthy for me to help you at this point.
Yeah. And there absolutely are people that you have to cut off that way, and you just have to recognize that it's not beneficial to you, your family, your life as a whole to carry some people, right? As you're going along. Wow. Okay. All right. You're not going to believe this. We've already been talking for a while. I got to ask you a couple of questions here. So tell me a little bit about some of the things that you offer, as a pro advisor. What are some of the different things that you offer to people?
Well, it's like a spoke of a bicycle. I have multiple things that I do, but the hub of it is professionally speaking. Being on stage in front of a crowd, an audience, or being on a screen is the number 10 times removed away from being on a stage. But listen, we are in a different world. But being on stage and talking to people, to massive amounts of people, that's the goal for me, because it's my energy, being on stage, sharing my story, sharing my lessons with people face to face. It's my juice. That's what I do all this for.
So are you speaking publicly right now?
Yes.
Are you doing that?
Speaker. Yeah. Professional speaker.
So where can
2 different groups, to National Speakers Association and Florida chapter of professional speakers, FSA.
Do you have something lined up? Do you have another speaking engagement lined up? Where are you speaking next?
So I just finished one for the builder breakfast or builder breakfast as a group out of Raleigh, North Carolina. It was virtual. So I just finished that one, and they're inviting me to another one. I've got the Florida Speakers Association, again, in the NSA, also espeakers.com. There's all these RFPs that you get access to. And I have people that I actually work with that give me access to databases of meeting planners. And so I just fill out all these forms. That's what I talk about, those little green things about filling out those RFPs, those requests for proposals. And you tell them what you do and they hire you. So that's, I do that like a large part of my day is just connecting with people like that. But the more you do these other things on the spokes, they lead to that hub. So I do coaching, which is the one-on-one, business coaching, helping young entrepreneurs with their small business, and I help them grow it, whether they learn how to do a P&L, they know how to recruit, they know how to build their brand, their personal brand or their business brand, time management, goal setting, that kind of stuff. Mindset, really, that's where I spend a lot of time with mindset, finding their whys to make their drive. Then I do the group settings for people who, want to do a group setting. I also do the virtual coffee, just relating with people, meeting as many people as I can. I live on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn and you have anything at all that's in common with me, I reach out, I send a message to you. Hey, I noticed that you like to her University of Miami. I noticed that you are a small business owner like me. Let's have a virtual coffee. We have a virtual coffee. We get to learn about each other's personal lives, a little bit about business, personal. We really connect. Then they start following me on LinkedIn and Facebook, whatever. And then what they see is every single day I post something that has something to do with me being a professional speaker or a coach or an author writing a book. They see that and they go, oh, you know what? My office is needing a speaker next week. I remember Jeremy had virtual coffee. He seemed like a nice guy. He's a normal guy. I see him on Facebook all the time. He does this what he does for a living. Hey, Jeremy, my company's hiring a professional speaker. How does that work even? Okay. So that's how building your brand works, by posting every day. And then just doing the stuff with my wife. She's a realtor. So we're trying to recruit realtors and stuff like that, and giving back to the veterans and the first responders down here in South Florida with different plans that we create, and working with different title companies. So always a lot of different hats that I'm wearing. You'll see me doing a lot of different stuff. But
so hang on one second. Let me just back you up 1 second. So if people want to get some of that information on your speaking, on your coaching, where do they go to find that? JeremyTorisk.com is the most basic thing to go to, or connect with me on LinkedIn. In fact, if anyone goes to LinkedIn and messages me through LinkedIn, I'll mail them a free book, Labor to Leadership. I'll give them a code to Amazon where they can get a live book or an ebook if they want. If they go to my website, they'll see how to get a hold of me, fill out a little form, and I'll, there's a thing on there, Connect with Jeremy, where they fill it out, and then my calendar pops up and they can spend 15 minutes with me or 30 minutes on a virtual coffee. And again, it's not pushing business. It's how are you? What do you do? Here's my story. What's your story? And then we connect. I see what you do every day. You see what I do every day. When I think of something that you see somebody who needs what you do, I recommend you. It's about learning and helping each other. Yes.
Yeah. And just being the example.
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I just made a note to send you a message so I can get a copy of that book.
I got you covered.
Okay, so oh gosh.
I'll just send you 2 coupon codes for the international shipping.
Nice. Okay, so a couple of questions here that I want to ask, sort of rapid fire here. Why public speaking?
Because for 2 reasons. Number one, my 2 favorite things are having a spotlight on me. I'm a huge ham, always have been, always been the center of attention, always telling jokes. I kill at funerals, right? If you need an obituary written, I'm your guy, right? I was a drummer. I was always on the drum line, in the center of the football field. I love attention. So put that together with helping people. And now you got my favorite thing. I'm the center of attention. And what I do with that attention is I help people. Man, it just scratches all my itches. I love helping people. I love sharing my story. Mental illness is so looked upon so badly that I like to share my personal experience with mental illness, not with only with myself, but with my mother, my father, my sister, my very close family members. I told you a little bit about suicides of my brothers. I like to share those stories because more people hear people like me talking about it without shame, but with pride and acknowledgement, then they want to tell their stories. And we get this mental illness thing behind us as a stigma. And, you know, we're all proud of who we are and how we can help each other, how we're the healthiest and happiest. I created something called a Zen Venn. What's in your Zen Venn? It's a Venn diagram, and that you put things that make you happy in it. And it shows kids how to identify the things and the items, the actions and the principles and values that make them happy. And then they find out where on the scale it goes, and they can find out, you know, if you can measure it, you can improve it. So they can see the measurements of their happiness and actually work towards being more happy on their, you know, actions, items, values, and things that make them happy. And then things that don't, you get away from. So there's different classes that I give online, in person breakout rooms for what's in your Zen Venn, especially for younger people. That seems like to be a good seller there. So it's just sharing the word of happiness and overcoming adversity and mindset. I mean, I found out in 2 seconds that my father, who I was born to, wasn't my father when I was 20 years old. It changed my whole life, up topsy-turvy, but for the better, because I wasn't really happy with my father. You know, so that little spark, just that little intangible, my father is my father. Holy crap, I have a new lease on life. But that's right here. It wasn't real. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything intestinally that changed. Fibers didn't change because I found out that I wasn't blood related to him. But inside my mind, I'm like, oh crap, I have potential now. You know, different. It just felt different. So you don't need to have that sort of impact to change your life. Just believe it. Just say, I don't know, I'm not part of them. Change it. Bam, cut them off. And you're going to change. It's so easy. And it's just spiritual almost. But it's all between here. It's in here. It's right here. There's a chapter in my book called Jay Ain't Right, when I used to do martial arts. And I used to get kicked hard by these 5th degree black belts. I mean, they would uncork it and I would smile. David Goggins calls it soul stealing. I didn't know that back then, but I smiled, and they used to get scared and yell around. You know, I used to kind of jump around the thing, and they said, Jay ain't right, because I would just look at them and smile. It hurt. I didn't even know I was doing it, but that's just my mentality. You can't hurt me. Like, I'm still here. You're 5th degree black belts. I'm a blue belt, a yellow belt, and you just gave me. I know. I saw it. You corked up, but I'm still here, and it hurt. And I let them know it hurt, but I'm smiling because for me it was like, I took it. You know, that's life. Hit me. Jay ain't right. You can't hurt me. David Goggins. That's the reason I got my surgery. I went from running 0 my whole life at 30. I was 48 years old, 50 pounds overweight. I started running, started losing weight. I went to 6 miles within 2 weeks, popped my tendon in my ankle because I'm flat-footed. Just can't do that. But David Goggins got me so wound up because that's me. It's my mentality. I was like, I could do it. Shit, if he could do it, if he can do 100 miles, I could do 6. Yeah. I was doing 6 miles within 2 weeks, twice a day, by the way. It's 12 miles a day. And I popped a ligament.
Why exceptional? What's wrong with acceptable?
Oh, no. Acceptable is just not acceptable. Everyone else is acceptable. You'll never stand out. You'll never get anywhere in life with acceptable. Acceptable is half a measure. If you're not willing to exceed something, you shouldn't do it. Yeah. Just period. I'm not going to do anything for you. You're never going to. And I cannot be around acceptable. One of the biggest fights I have with my wife is our attitude towards that. Like, she'll do something, she'll work with somebody, she'll do something, an activity that's just doesn't move her, and I just don't get it. And I'll just give her lots of hell about it. And she's, you know, that's why we're so great together, because she's so great and passive. But I'm like, if it don't move me, I don't have nothing to do with it.
You said your wife's name is Christy?
Christy. Yeah.
Shout out to Christy. You know, keep grabbing him by the scruff of his neck. You're doing a good job.
I need it. I told her when I was a kid, my first crush was on a girl named Christy McNichols. She was an actress in a bunch of movies with Matt Dillon and everything. So I got my Christy finally. Plus, I looked up where Christy McNichols now, and I'm doing much better. Christy's she's good. She's I got a great, beautiful family. I'm very, very lucky.
One mark on the wall for me.
Yeah, right. I love Christy McNichol, but Christy Torisk, she's got it going on.
So okay, I got one other question. Because you've made money and you've put money into all of the different places. Investing, where should people be putting their money? How do they do that?
Well, again, I don't tell anyone where they should be, but I'll tell you where I put mine. I put mine 100%. It's maybe 99.99% of my money's in real estate investing, because I don't like any market where any one person could say something negative about the product and it goes into the tank. So private investing to me is too risky. Now, I have a thing. My last name is Torisk. My blood type is B positive, right? So don't get me wrong. I'm not risk adverse, but right. I don't believe that I could put, for me, $1,000 into Apple, and then somebody says Apple doesn't work. Is some influencer, somebody famous says something bad about Apple, and they influence the stock. I don't like to put my money where one person has that much influence. Now you go, okay, Jeremy, then what about the bond? Not the bonds, the market that you put a bunch of stocks into, right? Whatever it's called,
like mutual funds.
Mutual funds. Oh, yeah. It's boring. I'm sorry, it's boring. I'm 50 years old. I don't have another 50 years ahead of me. Now, I can tell you that all my kids in their 20s have mutual bonds where they put money into, because that's 30, 40 years of the growth. That's so I'm talking to the kids, put some money, 15%. Go watch Dave, who's the guy, Baby Steps. Anyway, put your money into the mutual steps. I hear maybe why it's saying who it is, but put your money in mutual funds if you are young. But if you're 35, 40 years old and you're a little bit behind the eight ball, I like real estate. Real estate moves me. I get to look for it. I get to touch it. I get to invest it and inspect it. I get to control the renters. I get to help people out, keeping the rent the same when they're good renters. I get to upgrade the property for them. They get, toilets, termites, and what is the third T for real estate investing? Tenants, right? I like it. Termites, toilets, and I don't fix the toilet. I call a plumber, call a roofer when the termites, but it's good. It turns me on. I like things that I can influence and see and watch the value. That market's going to go up and down 20% over 10 years. Sure, no problem. But it's never going to go to zero because somebody drives by and go, this street stinks, and my house goes to zero. That's never, ever going to happen. So I like investing. It doesn't have to be local. It could be a national level. I do apartment investing in large groups, but you got to be careful about that. But I've done that. I've made real decent coin on that too. But buy yourself $100,000 house, $200,000 house, put a renter in it, rinse, wash, repeat. Next thing you know, you have 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. Pay off the first one, save up, pay off the second one.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I think.
Thank you. Wyatt, Dave Ramsey. That's the man. You listen to Dave Ramsey. Let me tell you, you can't do anything in life until you're out of debt. You're not going to be happy until you're out of debt. Listen to Dave Ramsey, follow the baby steps, get out of debt. That's the huge.
Well, listen. I think real estate's sexy as anything. So I'm gonna actually give you a prop here, because I'm gonna say, and this is something that I always tell people: the number one thing to invest in is right here. Invest in your own education. Invest in learning, growing, because, like you said, in terms of how much money you spent on your own learning and the dividends that it's paid. And so, guys, definitely you check out Jeremy Torisk, Jeremy Torisk, and there's lots of wisdom that has just been dropped. Make sure you rewatch this episode. Jeremy, oh my goodness.
I loved it, babe. Loved it.
I'm gonna
give you ADHD. I'll give you a double gun salute. Don't make it.
Yeah, guys. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate all that you shared, and definitely look forward to continuing to see your growth and your success, and being able to share that with the viewers. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate you, Neil.
Guys, this is the Leadership to Wealth podcast, and you need to check out my man, Jeremy Torisk. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time on the Leadership to Wealth podcast.